welcome to the 6th episode of By the Fire with the Shamana, a short transmission bringing shamanic wisdom into your life, one conversation by the fire at a time. This transmission is intended as a form of medicine to heal, open perspective, raise consciousness, and help you regain more freedom and power over your life. If you are curious, as a woman in a leadership position, to discover how developing your inner parent can transform the way you relate to yourself, your decisions, and the way you move through life, today's episode is for you. Inside this episode, we explore this together and why it might quietly change the way you move through everyday life. If this episode resonates with you and you feel called to support my work, I would be truly grateful if you choose to share it as you feel appropriate. Because every time this sacred space is shared, its energy continues to expand and to reach the people who may need it most. Before we begin, I want to invite you to pause for a moment. You are obviously coming from other activities, other thoughts, and right now we are opening together a sacred space for this transmission. So just take a few deep breaths. You breathe through your nose, you inspire, through your nose, and you expire through your mouth. Again. Feel the air you breathe circulating through your whole body, touching each of your cells, and you feel your whole body starting to relax. You become more present, more receptive, ready to activate your listening and learning abilities. As you arrive more fully into this space, ask yourself, what is your state in this moment? How do you feel? Anything is valid. You can feel good, you can feel bad. We include everything. If there is a comment section on the app where you're listening to this episode, I invite you to write down how you feel there so it can be included in the sacred space. Now, when you feel ready, enter. There is something very tender and sometimes very painful that can happen when you become an adult. From the outside, you may look grown, you make decisions, you work, you take care of your responsibilities, of your family. Maybe you support other people. Maybe you've built a whole life that seems completely functional from the outside. But inside, in certain moments, something much younger can suddenly take over. Let's say you receive a message that feels cold. Suddenly your whole body contracts. Someone criticizes your work and it does not feel like feedback anymore. It feels like danger. You disappoint someone or you think you disappointed them, and immediately you switch into defensive mode because something inside of you starts panicking. You may apologize extensively, become aggressive, over-explain yourself, or shut down emotionally or collapse, In those moments, you are not only responding to what is happening now. It's an older wound that has entered the room with you. The reality is, as human beings, we are deeply programmed for survival. One consequence is that before we need success, achievement, even meaning in our life, we need safety. Not only physical safety, but emotional safety. It's really probably the most primal need of any human being. We need to feel that love will not disappear every time we make a mistake, that we will not be abandoned when we have emotions, that someone can stay present with us when we are overwhelmed, and that we do not need to become perfect in order to be held. And when this safety was not fully there when you were younger, for whatever reason, your whole system had to adapt. You may have learned to become quiet, responsible, over useful, or invisible. You also may have learned to become emotionally independent much too early. You may have learned to read the room before you even knew how to read yourself. Or become the person constantly trying to prove that you deserve love, protection, or approval. And after a while, these adaptations no longer feel adaptations at all. They simply start feeling as you. This is also why inner child work became so important in modern spirituality and healing practices. You may have already explored inner child work yourself. And if this is a completely new concept for you, feel free to leave a comment and let me know if you would like me to create a full transmission specifically about this subject, because it's an interesting healing path. Inner child work is based on the idea that some of your emotional reactions are not only coming from the adult you are today, but also from younger wounded parts still living inside you emotionally. It can be the fear of abandonment, rejection, failure, not being enough. All of this did not begin in adulthood. And many of these reactions begin making sense once you understand what your system was trying to protect you from at the time. So a lot of healing work today focuses on meeting that wounded inner child, understanding what happened to him or her, and slowly helping that younger part realize that life is different now. You are no longer trapped in the same environment, powerless, or the child you once were. And all of this work is deeply healing. But I also think something important is still missing from the conversation. Because even after deep healing has happened, there can still be moments where an old emotional reflex briefly resurfaces under stress, pressure, emotional intensity. And when that happens, who stays beside that child internally? Who helps regulate the body when life becomes overwhelming again? Who reminds you that you are safe now? And this is where the work of meeting your inner parent becomes so important. Not as a replacement of your real parents, okay? And not as a way to deny the past either, but as a real inner presence you consciously begin developing inside yourself. The inner parent is the part of you capable of bringing steadiness when panic appears, softness when shame takes over, protection when you feel emotionally exposed. So it becomes a kind of inner safety structure, a grounded presence that's capable of saying, I know this hurts. I know this reminds you of something older, but you're not alone with this anymore. And this matters far beyond healing your personal life. Because if you're a woman leading a business, managing a team, building a project, obviously you're navigating important decisions. You're holding a lot of responsibility in your everyday life. Your emotional unresolved patterns do not magically disappear when you enter a leadership position. And old wounds enter meeting rooms with you. The fear of disappointing others may shape the way you communicate, the way you set boundaries, and the way you react to conflict, to criticism, to pressure, to authority. As a result, you may stay silent when you should speak, or over-explain because a younger part of you is trying to avoid rejection. Or you may become overly controlling because your nervous system associates uncertainty with danger. And without realizing it, you may begin making decisions from fear, emotional survival, or a need to prove your worth instead of from grounded adult clarity. This is why developing the inner parent becomes so powerful in leadership. Leadership is not only about strategy, intelligence, or performance. It's also about the quality of the inner relationship you bring into the room with you. The first leadership tool is the leader itself, not her techniques, not her methods, but who she is and the inner state from which she moves through life. So, from which inner voice are you speaking when pressure rises? From which inner voice are you making decisions when emotions become activated? From which inner voice are you relating to yourself when things do not go perfectly? Because the way you lead others will always be influenced by the way you internally lead yourself. And maybe one of the deepest shifts that can happen in adult life is learning how to respond to life from the grounded adult you are today, instead of automatically reacting from the child who once got hurt. So as in every episode, I would like us to experience this teaching together through an exercise. And before we begin this exercise, just a quick reminder to use your judgment and stay safe if you're driving or doing any activity that requires your full attention while listening to this episode. So for this exercise, I want to invite you to slow down for a moment. Take one deep breath through the nose and exhale slowly through the mouth. Just allow your body to settle just a little more into the present moment. This exercise is not about judging yourself. It is only about observing what happened inside you with honesty and awareness. I invite you to remember a moment in your life where you clearly felt that your reaction was not coming from the adult you are today. A moment where something deeper got activated inside you. You don't need to analyze the situation right now. Just allow yourself to remember it. Where were you? Who was there? What was said? What did you feel inside your body? As you reconnect with the situation now, notice what's happening internally. What was the voice speaking through you in that moment? Was it the grounded adult you are today? Or did it feel like a younger, wounded part that suddenly took control of the situation? And notice what happened inside your body as this reaction appears. Did your breath become shorter? Did you suddenly feel small or emotionally unsafe? Okay. Now, instead of trying to change anything, I invite you to imagine another presence entering the space beside this younger part of you. This presence is calm, is grounded, and deeply safe. It's the kind of presence that knows how to stay emotionally steady when something difficult happens. Now I invite you to ask yourself, if my inner parent had been present in this moment, how would they have responded differently? Probably from steadiness, emotional maturity, and unconditional love. Maybe your inner parent would simply have reminded you that you are safe, even in this moment. Maybe they would have just remained there as a reassuring presence, quietly holding the space while a wounded part of you was emotionally struggling. A feeling that even when life becomes emotionally intense again, something inside you is now capable of staying grounded, present, and steady instead of completely collapsing into old wounds. I invite you to remember that healing is not only about understanding why you hurt, it is also about learning how to remain beside yourself differently when hurt appears again. If you would like to stay for a few extra moments inside this energy, this new inner presence, you can, of course, allow yourself to do that. Okay. Now, as each week, I want to leave you with a simple integration practice to experiment with during the week. Next time you notice that your inner child has been activated, I invite you not to react immediately. Just pause for a few seconds, take one breath, and remember the exercise we explored together today. You can mentally call your inner parent. Allow yourself to feel their presence beside you for 1 or 2 minutes, as long as you need, as long as you have. Feel their grounded presence, the safe presence, the unconditional love. The energy of a presence capable of holding space for you instead of collapsing with you. Only then, once you feel more centered, more connected to the adult you are today, respond to the situation. Because little by little, this is how inner safety will grow inside you. Not by never being triggered again. We're not looking for being perfect, but by no longer facing those moments alone internally. This episode gently invites you to remember that healing begins when we manage to acknowledge the past, allow it to exist, and in the same breath, slowly change the way we stand beside ourselves in the present. Because many people learned very early in life how to survive emotionally, but safety, inner steadiness, emotional support, these are also things that can be cultivated consciously over time. And maybe a powerful shift in your adult life is realizing that even when your old wounds occasionally resurface, you no longer have to abandon yourself internally. So before we close this sacred space together, I invite you to take one final deep breath. You inhale through the nose and you exhale through the mouth. And you simply notice how you feel compared to the beginning of this episode. Maybe something inside you feels softer, calmer, or more aware. Or maybe you're simply living this conversation with a new way of understanding yourself. We can now close this sacred transmission space together. The journey continues within you. Walk gently, walk consciously, and remember, you are never walking alone. If the energy of this transmission resonates with you, you can continue the journey with me on Substack. This is where I share Whispers from the Shamana, a weekly publication to nourish your deeper self and softly awaken the shaman within. The address is the digital shamana with an A at the end, .substack.com. Thank you truly for your presence here today, for taking this moment for yourself and for stepping into this space. And I will see you by the fire again very soon.